Let's jump right into today's explainer. We are unpacking a story that is literally defined by raw speed, immense personal cost, and just this unyielding dream. It's the journey of a kid who left absolutely everything behind to chase the absolute pinnacle of motorsport. We're talking about Franco Colapinto, the boy from Buenos Aires. 40 years. I want you to take a second and just let that number sink in. 40 years. That is exactly how long passionate motorsport fans in Argentina had to wait for a Formula One driver from their home country to reach Q3 in qualifying and actually score points in a world championship race. 4 decades of waiting, hoping, watching, until a 21-year-old suddenly arrived to absolutely shatter that drought. And, it wasn't exactly a smooth, easy arrival. As Franco himself put it, I jumped into Formula One with no knowledge. It was the most pressure ever in my career. He wasn't given a year of testing. He didn't have endless preparation. He was literally parachuted into the Williams F1 team right in the middle of the 2024 season. He had to adapt instantly to one of the most complex, high-stakes environments on the planet. Section 1, Argentina's return to F1, breaking a 4-decade drought. So, replacing Logan Sargent mid-season, Franco went straight to Monza, the unforgiving temple of speed, right? And for his very first race, he finished a highly respectable 12th. But then came Baku. In only his second ever Grand Prix, on an incredibly unforgiving street circuit, he made it to Q3 and scored points by finishing 8th. He followed that up with another brilliant, hard-fought points finish in Austin. He didn't just try to survive his debut, he immediately delivered results. By stepping into that Williams seat, Franco actually became the first Argentine Formula One driver since Gaston Massacanu way back in 2001. As you can probably imagine, this sparked absolutely massive hype back in Argentina. Suddenly, a country that practically breathes sports had a brand new figure to rally behind on the global stage, finally ending over 2 decades of waiting. Section 2, a childhood left behind. The sacrifices of a 14-year-old. Now, this glamorous Formula One life, the fame, the points, the whole shebang, it came at a massive personal cost. On one hand, you have his comfortable childhood in Argentina, right? Surrounded by family, attending a technical engineering school, weekend asados. But at just 14 years old, his reality completely shifted. He moved across the world to Italy, living entirely alone in a CRG kart factory in some industrial zone. No friends his age, completely isolated, literally cooking himself chicken and rice every single day. When the factory closed on weekends, he would wander around a local shopping mall by himself just to kill time. There's this crazy story where he was once traveling across Europe in a van with mechanics for a race in England. When he handed his paperwork to a European passport control officer, she was completely shocked to see a 14-year-old traveling without his parents. She literally looked at him and said, "You can't be here, you should be at school." She was so concerned she almost didn't let him through. But, Franco knew the factory and the racetrack were really the only schools that mattered for his dream. During an early race in the US, Franco was slapped with this brutal, super unfair 35-place penalty after a crash. He was absolutely gutted. But F1 legend Rubens Barrichello just happened to be at that race. Rubens actually walked right into Franco's tent and told him, "I know how hard it is to be South American. Never give up." For a young kid at his lowest possible moment, hearing that from an absolute idol, that was the ultimate fuel to keep pushing. Section 3. Climbing the racing ladder. The statistical improbability of his rise. His progression upward was just lightning fast. He actually skipped traditional high school entirely. Well, scratch that, he finished his degree remotely, just so he could maintain his racing momentum. He dominated Spanish F4, proved himself as a race winner in FIA F3, stepped up to Formula 2 in 2024, and before the year was even over, he was sitting in a Formula 1 car. Crazy, right? To put that into perspective, he proved himself at literally every single tier, winning the F4 Spanish Championship with DriveX, securing 4th overall in a wildly competitive F3 season with MP Motorsport, winning a sprint race in Imola during his F2 campaign, before making that ultimate leap to Williams F1, where he immediately put 5 points on the board. This promotion wasn't a fluke. He earned his seat through pure, undeniable results. But we have to remember the climb wasn't just a physical test of driving skill. It was an immense emotional test. The late stages of his rookie F1 year in 2024 were incredibly tough. Just before qualifying in Brazil, his grandfather tragically passed away. He then suffered devastating back-to-back crashes in the rain, in Brazil, and on the tight streets of Vegas. And because of the damage, he was forced to finish out the year running old-spec parts on his car. It was a brutal trial by fire. Section 4. The Boy Behind the Wheel. Discovering the Colapinto Effect. Franco brings this magnetic, fiercely South American energy to the grid. He openly worships Lionel Messi as the ultimate GOAT. He's embedded in Argentine pop culture, even making a cameo for the massive music producer Bizarrap. And he draws deep inspiration from his ultimate hero, Ayrton Senna, whose own sacrifices really resonate with him. Plus, he is fiercely and hilariously loyal to his racing number, 43. There's a hilarious Sky Sports segment that perfectly captures his personality. Franco stood out in the pouring rain at Silverstone, watching a mix of amateur karters and one undercover professional driver. His job was to analyze their racing lines and guess who the real pro was. So what does Franco do? He completely ignores all the technical analysis and just blindly roots for the driver in kart number 43 simply because it's his favorite number. Even when kart 43's engine literally blew up on the very last lap of the race, Franco refused to vote for anyone else. He jokingly declared he deserved the win and the kart broke down. It's the most unfair thing I've seen in my life. It's exactly that kind of unscripted, genuine humor that makes him an absolute joy to watch. Section 5. The Future at Alpine. A new chapter in 2025 and 2026. Franco didn't just survive his crazy debut, he absolutely secured his future in the sport. Joining the BWT Alpine F1 team in 2025 as a reserve driver, he boldly stepped in to replace Jack Doohan after just 6 races. Now, he's firmly embedded as a permanent driver for the 2026 season, getting behind the wheel of the brand new Mercedes-powered Alpine A526. Adapting to a new car and a whole new team structure is never easy, but Franco is forging incredible mental fortitude under Alpine's leadership. Speaking about the notoriously demanding Flavio Briatore, Franco noted, "He made me a lot stronger mentally. He's going to put Alpine back at the top." Franco knows the car still needs development, but he is absorbing everything, getting himself ready for the moment they can fight for podiums. Which leaves us with one thrilling question to wrap things up. Is Franco Colapinto destined to be South America's next legendary world champion? From a lonely 14-year-old cooking rice in a factory to shattering a 40-year drought for Argentina, he has the speed, the mindset, and an entire continent behind him. Keep your eyes on number 43. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. I'll catch you next time.